Good morning.
Morning. We're here. Sorry, a couple of minutes late. We just had a rather large box turn up through the door.
A couple of boxes.
Of
Yokomo bodies.
Yokomo
Finally have some bodies back in stock.
Thanks for coming back and joining us again for our Friday waffle time.
Yeah.
We do enjoy it greatly, waffling. At least I do. I love waffles. Yeah, we've got a few things to talk about today. First thing,
have you got any questions? Fire them in.
Yeah, questions.
Either on the video or whatever. If you're doing it when we're live, we'll hopefully get to answer them.
Yes.
As long as we don't get too many in.
I believe the first thing we should probably mention is part of this enormous pile that's just turned up.
Yeah.
There's some. Should we tell everyone what we've got?
Well, we haven't checked this yet because it's literally just arrived. But in theory, we've got they're all Yokomo bodies, and we've got the S14, S14A, I believe, the ER34, the 1Vias, Kunni's Chaser.
Just demonstrating.
That's
how many we've got.
Well, there's another box. Where was that? So 1Vias. We've got Kunni's Chaser, I think I've already said that. The PS13, the Gredi FD3S, the JECT 100 FNATs, Samurai. So we've got a few Samurai bodies in, which is kind of cool.
Yep. All of these have got light buckets with them as well. We don't order any body without the light bucket.
In theory, we haven't checked.
In theory,
we've literally. There's a reason we were late is because we just had to wait for the couriers to actually sort themselves out and get those boxes into us.
Yes.
So yeah, that'll be going on the website very soon. So it will probably still stay out of stock for the next couple of hours. But
we've basically got all the cool bodies that we want. So we figure out
we do that with everything, don't we? We don't order the stuff we don't like. If we think it's rubbish, we don't stock it.
Exactly.
Unless somebody specifically asks us to. But
so if you want stuff, I'd order it now before I finish doing this and buy them myself.
There's already at least 3 of those bodies going straight onto my shelf of bodies.
What else did we get in? Rather fitting, since we just got bodies in. We just had
yesterday. We just had a good old order of
for demonstration purposes.
Tamiya paints.
Tamiya paints.
And we actually finally now have a paint rack.
We do.
It's very nice of Tamiya to finally send it to us.
We have a massive paint rack. And also we've got the Tamiya foil tape in.
Yeah.
Let's not block my face to do that. We have the Tamiya foil tape, and you can no longer see me. We've got the foil tape in, which is super good for like putting in your light buckets or holding in your light kits.
Yeah, it's the best.
Fusion.
To be honest, it's one of those things that sells out almost instantly, and we order as much as we can from Tamiya, and they normally don't have much in stock.
And what colours have we got in? Pretty much everything.
Pretty much. There's 1 or 2 colours we don't stock as standard, just because we've had like the the sparkling anodized pink or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It took us
the random
to sell 6 cans.
The random stuff that sucks.
Yeah, we've got all the cool stuff basically. We've got the whole bunch of translucents. We've got all the flat clear, the pale clear, the smoke, the rain flake, all the colours essentially. We've finally got white and black again.
Yeah, I was going to say the black and the white. Just the difficulty in just getting even the basic standard paints is ridiculous. I remember was it this year or last year they were out of stock on black and white for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Yeah, it was stupid.
But hey, it's there. We've got it in, and
so we've got those in. Yeah,
we'll get to stocking our new paint rack later today.
Other new stuff. We tried this.
Well, we're doing some testing of this.
This, which is that
you can't see because it's too
just a white blur.
It's a Sky RC corner weight system, effectively. I'm going to do a little test of it. Sky RC is not a brand we've had much dealing with personally, so.
Well, we've had bits, but we weren't impressed.
Yeah, it was stuff that wasn't amazing, so we thought we'd give them another shot with this. And if it turns out to be pretty cool, we'll.
The thing is actually when we're testing stuff, we don't necessarily say, "Oh, well, that one thing from that brand we didn't like, or was bad." So nothing else can be good from that brand. You know, we still go through and we test stuff, and
of course, yeah.
You know, we saw this, thought we do corner weight. Yeah, let's try this.
We've since we've opened, we've had a corner weight system that was donated to us from Tamiya, and it's just basically 4 independent scales and a leveling board, and basically we just have to do the maths ourselves, whereas this just does it all for you. It's reversed on our screen, but I don't think it's reversed when it goes live.
I'm not really sure. But what it basically does, it gives you the weight on each corner. It gives you the weight on that axle.
Yeah.
So if you imagine if I plonk this on here, which it will now give me a reading.
Don't worry about being too accurately, just you lift the thing.
So you've got to center them on the pads a little bit, but effectively what that is doing is telling me the weight on each wheel, the weight of that axle, the weight of that axle, the weight on this side, the weight on that side,
and then the percentages.
Also the front and rear balance, and it tells you all that in percentages
as well.
So without the battery in, with my particularly shonky positioning on these things,
I wouldn't take this reading too seriously.
I've definitely done that very badly. But currently, it basically says that I've got 51% of the weight is this side, 49 is that side, and I'm 56% front heavy. So my total front axle weight is 637 grams, and my rear is 509 grams, which means my total weight is 1,146 grams. 1.1 kilograms. So actually, in terms of relative to a real car, if I added a battery,
don't worry about it for
now. But I mean, I suppose actually scale-wise, that's, if you turn that into kilograms, that's not too far off a real car.
No, it's not.
You know, by the time you put a battery,
something
grams in a body.
Something you stripped and, you know, is something like a Sylvia. What was yours? Like 1,100 kilos, your Sylvia?
1110, but mine was, you know, like T45 cage and all that. So that's, you know, compared to a street car, like a street Sylvia, which realistically you're talking 1350, something like that. So it's not too far off.
I checked mine on that the other day, and I'm pretty sure mine was 1,400 grams.
So you're
something like that.
Yours is a JZX, then, isn't it? Really?
Mine's an E36.
E36 is light, man.
I can't remember.
RMX with all the upgrades and electrics, but no battery, 1,243 grams. So that's about right.
But mine's got the aluminium arms and stuff on, hasn't it? Yours doesn't. So
exactly. But in terms of realism, that's pretty good. And actually, yours says front rear is 50-50, and left-right balance is 51 of 49.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
That's pretty good.
It needs a bit more tweaking to get it actually balanced.
It was where I was leaning on the counter. It's actually 50-50-50. I don't know if anyone can see that. 50-50-50-50.
It needs a bit more work.
So perfectly balanced.
The cool thing with that is because I run the shorty, it kind of sits centrally in the chassis as well, so it doesn't disrupt it too much. But I do need to tweak it a little bit to get it absolutely perfect. It is, I think it's 1% out when I checked it the other night. But
how are you getting on with that thing?
Love it. I think I'm going to have another one coming soon.
Yeah, I know.
I think.
I'm half tempted. I'm half tempted.
I'm decided if I should have two of the same chassis, whether that's just a stupid idea and I should have two different chassis.
Well, you do have another chassis.
Well, I do have. I've kind of dropped half of it. That was on there. I've got my Overdose JECT chassis, which isn't quite finished still in terms of settings, but I now have just about all the parts I need to actually run it. Which I have run it before.
One sec, just before we go on with that. Sky RC corner weight system, they're £80, I believe.
I believe so, yeah, including VAT. Yeah.
So they're £80, and we can get those in very quickly if anybody wants one.
Yeah.
I'd have one. We've got one.
We've got one. We probably won't stock too many of them purely because most people that use it will use the one at the circuit. So it's kind of one of these things that you can use anytime you come here. Essentially, it's just always going to be out.
Yep. But I would definitely, if we didn't have the circuit and it was independent, I would use that.
That's the sort of thing I think if you're setting, if you're sat there on a Tuesday, Thursday, something like that before a competition weekend, getting your car prepped, getting it sorted.
It's having a bit of a tweak.
You can have your car balanced and ready to go before you get to the track rather than doing it when you get there. Like you may change your settings, but you've got a good starting point.
Actually, the surprising thing with this is it's quite accurate. Well, I don't know if it's deadly accurate, but it's quite sensitive, I think is the right word. And I think people would be surprised what saying doing quarter of a turn on your
rear
right spring will do for your front left.
Yeah, definitely.
Or even your front
it
right.
It does make
or
a massive
like
difference.
tiny adjustments make a lot of people they'll turn their springs 5, 6, 7, 8 times, like complete rotations, when actually quarter of a turn does a lot. So that's worth looking into. But we're going to talk about springs again in a minute. So
so anyway, I've got the JECT sorted. It's got all the lovely Overdose bits on. I've got the slide rack through for it this week, and along with a couple of braces I didn't have, and I'm trying to remember what else I've got. The aluminium toe strap set. It still needs a load of shims and stuff because it's essentially I've changed some parts and I haven't sat down and finalised a few things. So it still doesn't have steering links on things on just because they're not needed yet. I've still got to do some more basic stuff, but I'm trying to build it to a nice high level, so I don't see the point in going too far with it. The one thing that unfortunately doesn't fit on the JECT chassis, stands without cutting it, is the Overdose motor mount. Which
that's a shame.
To hold that.
Which will go roughly here.
So the JECT mount is blue. So all I've done is chucked a bit of carbon wrap on it just to make it less obvious. It looks a bit crap, to be perfectly honest, but
it is, considering the amount of money that you've spent on that thing, it is a little bit ghetto.
It is, but it's a temporary solution until I decide if I'm going to drill and cut the chassis, or
just do it, man.
Maybe
just do it. Just go with it.
Maybe I kind of want to drive it with that mount there a bit more.
You've also got.
I've also got the servo horn as well.
Servo
and the servo mount. I've got a few bits for it. It's just a case of working out the few bits. I haven't decided 100% which knuckles I'm going on. I was trying all along to run the MST KPI and HD knuckles in black, but seeing the rest of the gold on there kind of makes me think maybe I need to find the gold knuckles. But I'm not a massive. I don't know. I really like the MST knuckles. And the MST knuckles work, and they use the MST drive shafts, which I like.
I think we need to refer to your chassis as a collective. Like purple and gold, your chassis are pretty much the nouveau riche of drifting. So you are team nouveau riche.
I think it's awesome. Yeah.
You're a chap that's recently come into money.
I'm not quite sure I'd go that far. But yeah, essentially there's a few more bits to do on the chassis, but it should be up and running fairly soon. Hopefully for Japan, I'll take it with me. Probably as my rear-wheel drive chassis.
Indubitably. Another thing that is looming, and we're seeing if we're capable of doing waffle time Japan.
Yeah, that would be pretty.
Technically, this is the live chat, isn't it? But I just waffle time, man.
That's how you look at it. It's deadly serious for me, obviously.
Yeah. On that subject, you've been testing, obviously with your chassis and everything. You've been testing springs. I'm looking for springs.
They're underneath something else. I've got some more springs in. The RC926 28mm spring kit.
RC Kyuni Roku. There's 926. There's a bunch in there.
I can't remember how many's in there.
They don't jiggle.
Nice.
I wanted a rattling noise.
They're compressed already, I think, in the box.
What's the specs on these ones?
They're pretty good. There's a whole
purple.
there's a whole bunch. I think there's 1.3, 1.4. It says on the label. I can't remember exactly what's in there, but I've had these for a couple of weeks. I haven't got around to testing them yet, but I plan to in the next couple of weeks. Just to try them out. It's the kind of thing where I'm more than happy with the MST springs that we're using, but I think it's important that we try things like this because I might learn something new. I might find something that's essential to stock.
There is a wide variety of harnesses in there.
There is. Take a look at the paper.
You mean the one that nobody understands?
Yeah, the one that you can only read if you read in Japanese.
Yeah. Whilst I speak Japanese, I don't read it.
So actually, there's 1.2, 1.3, 1.4.
All in the same box.
Yeah, all in the same box.
Which is which?
Measure them.
Sure, getting the verniers out and doing some sort of. Technically, we have got scales. We can measure.
We can, but
the strength of the springs in grams.
Yeah, but
it means we have to apply.
It means we have to get a very good system in place.
100 gram load.
Well, it means essentially everything has to be 100% perfect, and I'm not 100% sure those are that accurate just yet.
We got the other ones.
Yeah.
Or we could use the ones we use for shipping, which are very accurate.
They're very accurate. We can do testing, but I've tested spring weights before at Driftworks, and you have to have a good system.
Yeah.
Too many things affect it.
Too many variables. Yeah. There's a pain in the bottom.
It's not the easiest thing to do. It's relatively simple, but you just have to make sure that everything's repeated.
But I've used RC926 before. In terms of quality, I can't fault them. They're good strings. In terms of getting them, yeah, it's just like
they're out of stock.
Relative to having those right there or importing those, for me it's a no-brainer.
To be honest, whenever I often order random body stuff and things like that from Japan, and every time I've ordered something, I always look for the springs because I wanted to test them for a while. And actually, I got the 28 mils, but I wanted the 30 mils.
Yeah, and they also do a 32 set as well.
Yeah. So I tried to get myself different ones, and I just ended up getting some just to test because I was sick of waiting. But then I think it's probably just timing when I've looked at the websites and things like that from Japan. But we'll see. It's well worth testing anyway.
Well, sure. Yeah, always test stuff out, and because you can't have a genuine opinion on something until you've actually tried it.
You've got to try it. Got to learn the pros and cons of everything, really.
Indeed. Next up,
back to Sanwa.
Back on these Dubry Watsits again. We figured we've been asked some questions about motors and things like that. What's kind of the key to a drift motor, and why we use AccuVents and things like that. Something we thought of this morning. Why do we use Sanwas? Why do you use your Sanwa?
There's the long reasons and the short reasons. The short reasons are because it fits my hand very well, or my hands very well.
Yeah.
It's got all the features that I need, and 100 more that I don't.
Yeah.
It's comfortable, it's fast, but the long reason is because I've used other stuff that's been very unreliable, and Sanwa has been 100% reliable. That's the shorter way of the long reason.
That's the shortest reason.
But yeah,
we used other high-end controllers, and
for quite some time as well.
Yeah, for extended periods of time, and they failed on us, or just didn't have quite the same sort of quality and feel as a Sanwa.
I think there's a lot of different transmitters you can use, and your transmitter has to fit you and has to feel comfortable.
My extra reasons for using Sanwa is, one, they have a hook, well, not a hook, a loop, so I can dangle all my stupid Japan crap off it.
Or you can use it for its intended use and
with a lanyard and hold it in the perfect position as you ought to. But yeah, I like being able to dangle crap off my controller.
I've noticed.
I like that with Sanwa, we do these, which are the wrap up next kits.
You can't see because
you can't see, but I'll spread them out a bit.
Well, you've got one on yours.
Well, I've got one on mine, but
fall.
If you can see there's many options in terms of colours and patterns and things like that. So which does happen, if you do get bored of your controller, mine has recently gone from Louis Vuitton patterned brown
and other stuff
and stripy zebra bits to being pink. And I happen to have a shift circuit banner laying around, and I was like, that is meeting my Sanwa. But it basically means that I can completely change the look of my controller without changing the feel of it. So if I, suffer from boredom, which I often do all of the time, I can mess around with it, and it's not the end of the world. How much are the?
They're about 30 quid, including that at the moment.
Yeah, so that's.
They're not the cheapest thing, but it's not really a problem if you spent 400 quid on an M12, 430 quid on an M12.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just one of those things, you can add it later on.
So there's the versatility. We also do these things, which is probably worth mentioning.
Oh, I thought you were going to knock yours on the floor.
That would have been ironic.
To
knock over my Sanwa with the bag that is meant to protect my Sanwa.
Yeah.
So we do these.
Which are very handy for traveling. I'm kind of, I was going to say lucky enough, but not, I don't know how you look at it, but I don't have to travel to my circuit, so I don't have a bag currently.
This is my new head.
But if ever you're traveling, the one thing I remember with one of my old transmitters was the fear every time I put it in my hauler bag drawer that it was going to end up coming out with the antenna snapped off, or that, you know, something digging into it, or
yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you
there
mean.
was some close calls with my old KO.
Well, it's just little things like, you know, like just bashing it about and things, and that doesn't happen when you've got a.
No, I mean, as stupid as it sounds, I mean, my transmitter's got the drop wheel on it, leaning the wheel right up to the side with an aluminium.
And if I put them straight, and you get to see the
wheel on.
The angle difference.
It balances, it doesn't fall over, which is stupid as it sounds. The old KO prototype wouldn't stand up on its own. I had to lay it down every time I put it down. Or the amount of time.
Yeah, we used to put them like, you know, like this, or what was the other one? They went like that.
They went like that, but then if you had the drop wheel on, it would always fall over to the side.
I mean, technically, the Sanwa does have stoppers, so you can lean it that way, but like generally, we just plonk them up right, and they hold themselves there.
The only time I ever do anything different is when people are walking past it and stuff, and I lay it down just so that somebody doesn't knock it.
Yeah,
because it's not, you know, there's some clumsy people.
The key feature, moving on, because how we stand our controllers up isn't really that exciting. The key feature for me is something on here called VR Adjust.
Right.
And if, for those of you with Sanwas, and this applies to the MT4 and the M12. So on the MT4, you just do it on, you just push the winder, and then you can scroll down to where it says System. And from System, you scroll down. On the M12, it's System, then scroll down until you find something called VR Adjust. And I have no idea if you get to see that. We can see VR Adjust. And if you click on VR Adjust, what it does is basically, obviously, over time when you're using your throttle, your center point for your throttle changes slightly, which is why on some controllers you lose reverse. Sometimes, you know, you'd be driving it for a few weeks, and then for no reason at all, reverse.
I mean, it can
working.
also be the ESC.
Well, it can, but you know, this is a feature that Sanwa has that I'm not aware of it being on any other controllers. It may be, but if you hit on VR Adjust, you can adjust the steering and you can adjust the throttle.
I'm pretty sure it is on other stuff, just so you know. I think it's called something else as standard.
So, for example, when you go onto it, it's got setting. On the M12, it asks you whether you want user setting or standard. So you want setting to be on user. On the MT4, it doesn't ask you that. It just asks you to adjust it. And then basically you click on the M12 where it says neutral, and then what you do is you give it full throttle, then you give it full brake, and it will ask you if you want to adjust, and you say yes, I want to adjust. And what that basically does is it recalculates everything based on the exact amount of travel that there is in the trigger. So maybe if there's a little bit of crap on the sensor, or for any reason the trigger's bent or something like that, it will recalibrate everything so the center is in the center and it knows exactly how much swing is in either direction, irrelevant of whether it's damaged or anything else is going on. So you can do that, and you can also do it with the steering. You go neutral, full left, full right, and then there you go, adjust. So everything on that controller is now completely centered. That VR Adjust is surprisingly good. When you reset that, you'll feel that your chassis and your throttle response and your steering and everything is smoother and cleaner and just feels much more precise. And for such a small adjustment, it makes a big difference. And I do that roughly once a week. Once a week, or you know, maybe 2-3 times a month, something like that. And that's a really great thing to do. But bearing in mind we drive every other day, so you know, we put a lot of hours on these cars. Again, for me, the Sanwa, just the menus are just easy to use.
Yeah, I mean,
EPA adjustment. I mean, standard settings. You've got the little button here for you, which is your thumb, and that's brake strength. And having adjustment. Most controllers, you control the EPA, the endpoint adjustment for throttle and brake. So if you want to soften your brake, which is a good way to get the if anyone's see me drive or see some of the Japanese drivers where the rear end really bites hard and snaps and stops. And that's power and then braking. And when you brake, it slows the wheels down. But if you lock the wheels, it makes the chassis rotate. So basically, it's very difficult to be accurate when you're braking with your finger going forwards. So what you can do is adjust the brake strength. So for me, being able to adjust the brake strength, and especially in 1% increments, means that you can
very easily, without having to go into a menu as well, as worth mentioning.
Exactly, yeah, very easily, very quickly, means you can do a lap and tweak the brake strength very slightly so that you can make it so it stops absolutely bang on, or it stops slightly over. You can adjust for that sweet spot, but that's in the actual brake strength applied, but it doesn't adjust your EPA. So what you get is you get the same EPA, you get the same 100% of actuation, but it becomes a smaller range of actual power. So you, over that range of power, because you're turning the power of the brake down, you are more accurate with the brake over the same range, because you're setting the maximum.
You can of course do this on most DSCs and things like that, but it's just it's a quicker way of adjusting.
Time
but
and
it also means that essentially you're not affecting other things. You're only changing that one element.
Yeah.
There's no other.
But I think they're my favourite two features on Sanwa: the brake strength adjustment and the VR adjust are just brilliant. And
yeah, I mean, for me,
and it's pink. I've lost you there, haven't I? Damn it.
To me, there's a whole bunch of stuff that matters. I play with my settings less than most people, to be perfectly honest.
On your controller?
Yeah, I've tested most things out, and very few things to me gets, most things get set up and left rather than adjusted on a weekly basis or something like that. I do most of my settings on my ESC, and there are things that change for different tracks and stuff, but it's I don't change it as much as you, for sure.
To be fair, all I change is the steering arc and the brake strength.
If this didn't have any settings on it, if it was the most basic actual functioning transmitter, the way it feels in my hand is the reason I pay the money for one of these alone. I do use a lot of their settings, but just not as much as you. But for me, it's just fits, and everything is 100% comfortable. I've got no complaints at all with this. Every other transmitter I've ever had, from Futaba,
as we've said before, even just being able to adjust the wheel position is a massive thing.
But even the position of the trims, the position of everything, they're accessible but not in the way, and things like that. Every single thing just works on that. I don't have a single complaint. The only thing, if I could change anything about the M12, would be I'd make it fractionally lighter, and I'm talking 2-3%. It's just like, it's the only thing is occasionally when I'm driving for a long period of time is I'll put my transmitter down and think, oh, that's quite heavy in my hand, but it's not a problem. It's not an issue.
I get that when I pick up an MT4 and I'm like, oh god, this is light.
Yeah,
like this is easy. But then actually the weight of the M12, once you're used to it,
it's
I prefer it. You know what I mean? I prefer that weight, because what it tends to make you do is when I'm going to do it, my leg was stuck on a side profile. What a lot of people tend to do with the controllers is drop them down like this, and because the M12's got weight to it, it means that you tend to keep it up and back. And when you keep the controller up, sort of in your chest, straight on, you tend to drive better, because obviously your hand is closer to your eyes.
Well, not only that, but you've got a consistent.
You've got a consistent point where you're working from.
Yeah, if you tend to droop it a bit, it depends how tired you are.
That's my pet hate. Is that, like, driving like that is not a fantastic thing. Quite the opposite.
No, steering like that would be terrible.
It is. It doesn't feel right. So when you're driving, try and keep your controller up and drive from here, and don't let go of the wheel. You need to be able to, the reason to hold it here is, even if you have to have your arm out like a teapot or a chicken or something, just rotate your entire arm. You're not steering with just your fingers. You've got your whole arm to be able to make smoother and finer adjustments. So it doesn't really matter if you look like a dick when you're doing it.
The thing you have to remember is when you let go of the wheel, you're not in control of the car.
Yeah.
And especially, actually, it's probably worth mentioning, if you've got a billet wheel on like this, it exaggerates the spring effect.
Which does look cool when you're parked and wobbling your wheels around for a lap. But when you're driving,
it's silly.
Yeah.
But you can always see when people do it. We've had a few people do it in a competition, and straight away it's just zeros, for the steering marks.
Speaking of steering marks,
that's a crap segue.
It is. Isn't a Segway a thing that you ride around on?
It is as well. You could also.
Yours is big enough that I don't have to see your face anymore.
I'm okay with that.
So there's Jay.
A trophy.
And there's me. That's what
It's quite representative of our actual size as well.
What in human life?
Yeah.
Basically, we're not just showing off how big our willies are, because it's not that impressive. But what we are showing off is that the D110 Euros are up again. Dates are announced.
And registration is opening mid-December, if I remember correctly. But fortunately for us, and well, actually not for us, for our competitors, for the Solar Sea Challenge.
For our country.
Yes.
Fortunately for our country.
We've done a deal with Michelle, the organiser, and basically the top 10 UK drivers, I should say, in Solar Sea Challenge in four-wheel drive, and the top 5 UK drivers in rear-wheel drive will have places reserved for them at next year's European Championship, so they don't have to have the mad frenzy to book their spots.
Yeah, less panicking.
Yeah, there's a lot of people wanting to go this year, and we wanted to make sure that the top drivers get to go. And the only way you can score top drivers is via competition, and currently the only real competition taking place that I'm aware of in the UK is ours. So we're proud to say that I think we have the best drivers competing in the UK, and I think that means we'll have a good standard going to European Championships next year. Well, I do think.
Let's hope so. We all did all right last year.
I'm hoping there's a whole bunch of them.
Jay took 4th place.
Fourth place,
which was pretty good.
Pretty good. Not quite third though.
Not quite 3rd, not quite 1st, but I managed to fluff it completely. But what I did do, I like that. I think we might do that more often.
I don't think we will.
I got best chassis with my Triple XD HT VIP
red
Mitto E in red.
So I think it'll be pretty cool.
Thank you,
and I think it's really good. Chassis. I think it's a very, very, very good thing that there's more people in the UK wanting to go over. And forcing us to try and protect the better drivers' positions.
Yeah,
I think that's a good thing. It's not that we don't want those people going. It's just there's only 20 available, and we wanted to make sure that we can get as many as we can.
So what we want to do next time is come back with more of these. I like that. Does yours make a different one? Ooh!
You're such an idiot sometimes. Anyway, stop. What's next? What are we moving on to? Because otherwise I'm going to have to...
So anyway, Euros are coming.
We're pretty pleased with that. That's a cool thing for us. It means that essentially, as I say, we can keep the standard of driving as high as we can from the UK.
Yeah,
that's a really good thing. The Euros are very hard, and I think there's one thing that people underestimate.
The venue looks really good for this year as well. Actually,
there's a different sense parks, but the thing that I think people really underestimate when they go to European Championships and to competitions in general is nerves. And for me, having people that have been to as many rounds as they have of our championship will definitely help their nerves. And I think anyone who's going to try and get themselves a position in the Euros next year, the 5 spots that will remain, and other than the ones we've reserved, they should probably come and do a couple of rounds to get used to it if they're not used to competing.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, even for people who've been here, when there's 30 people watching them, it's different when there's 130 people watching.
Yeah, and you have a lot less practice time.
I can say this, which is probably I don't know, probably interesting because there's not many people who've had experience of both. But from coming from full size drifting and having done some pretty big events, I remember that one of the biggest ones I did was over in Holland. In Zandvoort, it was called Monaco on de Maas, and there were like 300,000 people there. It was massive. It was crazy, and I wasn't nervous in the slightest because I'm sat in a car with a helmet on, completely protected in my own little bubble, having fun, just making smoke and driving like a silly sod, and you know, there's no nerves at all. RC, I get nervous. It's different. And people probably, oh, there, it's him. Like, it doesn't matter. But I get nervous as hell, man, because it's way scarier than like full-size drifting.
I did until last year. I had my little routine.
I know. Jay does his Siberian Army frog march thing. It
works.
Where basically he walks in circles, and hard pacing, like it's a military-looking thing. It's
to the bar.
Like this, and then you see him basically with a pint of beer, and he'll stand there and he'll go.
It's not quite like that at all.
This is exactly what you do. And
all I'm going to say is I didn't drink that much beer.
If this is normal Happy Jay, he does this.
Pints, there were little cups.
So that's what happens.
I'm okay with it. I should have done it I didn't do it before the battle I lost. So
there you go. That's what it is. You need to do your angry, crazy Spetsnaz SAS.
I wonder if I can just turn into the angriest person alive and just intimidate whoever I'm competing against.
That was probably it, you know.
The Takahiro.
They probably thought
I could have been Takahiro.
They probably thought that fat bloke's mental. He's going to batter me.
He'll throw me over that fucking railing. Yeah.
So yeah, that's coming up. That's done. You get to see Jay do his crazy military march.
Maybe stupid. It's fine. Maybe.
Yeah, have this.
I don't want that one.
Okay. Right. So that's that. Other thing that's coming up, Japan, Nihon. Yes. Remember Toby, who used to do RC drifting?
Vaguely, yeah, a long time ago.
Who came to Japan last year. Hi, Toby.
He won't be watching this.
He came to Japan last year, bought an Overdose vacuum when they just came out.
Spent a fortune.
And it's still sat there and it's never run.
Which is sad.
Which is sad and depressing. But anyway, he doesn't say Japan. He says Japan. Like he can't not say it that way. Just Japan. So even when we were in Japan, he was saying Japan. But in Japanese, it's Nihon. So we're going there. Excited much?
Yeah, just a bit. I think I probably wanted to go to Japan for longer and more than almost any other person that's ever lived. But money and life.
That's quite a statement.
I believe it. I believe it's true.
Statement.
I think you'll realise when I get to Japan and I just explode. Touchdown.
I just made that really dirty, man.
You would, but yeah. Essentially.
I feel like wait a sec. You talk about Japan. I need a Rennie. I have indigestion. These things happen. It's a live broadcast.
Well, things go wrong. But yeah, so we're going at the start of December for a couple of weeks, and we're still working out the details as to when the shop track combination is going to be open. It's a very, very, very difficult thing for us to orchestrate, and we're working very hard to put measures in place that mean that you can still order and have stuff shipped, and maybe that we can still open the track on certain days while we're away. I think I'm going for 2 weeks. Because we can't afford to have me gone from here for any longer than that. I can't really afford to have me gone from here for 2 weeks, but I wanted to do it for long enough to solve it.
I'm going for 3. Well, mostly because I need a week away from you.
I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that.
No, I always go earlier than everyone else on the tour because it's a long flight. You know, it's 13-hour flight. 8 hours or 9 hours, depending on the time of year, time difference. So basically, by the time you get out there, you're back to front and upside down. Like when you land there, the first day, you just need to go to bed. Even if you're hyped, you have to sleep because it batters you. By the time you get up, get to the airport, get in your plane, fly to your transfer airport. So last time I went to Helsinki in Finland, which is, if you're flying anywhere in the world, fly to Helsinki. It was really, really nice.
Yeah.
Well, the airport was. I don't know what the place is.
You never stepped outside.
But the airport was amazing. Another place to do that is Dubai. Oh, we appear to have frozen.
Yeah. I believe we're still live, so let's just carry on.
Are we still live?
That I don't know.
Can someone tell us if we're live?
Somebody message me if we're live. Our screen is frozen. That doesn't normally happen. We'll just have to carry on. There's nothing we can do about that. We can't stop.
No.
We can't stop it. Once we stop, it's done.
I'm interested in the pose I'm making.
Let's see. Carry on talking. I'll see if I can work
I'm trying. Let's find Taj. Taj is usually watching us. That is not Taj. I'll find Taj.
This is somebody who is definitely watching us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Excuse me, do our faces still move?
Are we still free? Carry on talking, dude.
I am. I'm trying to find out if we're still live.
Just let me do that. You carry on talking, dude, because if we are still live, we're currently not talking.
We are talking.
Luke has told us we are live. Thank you very much, Luke. Our screen is frozen. The video may be messed up from this, so you may be one of the lucky few that can actually watch this.
We might have to stop and start again.
We can't do that. Technically, that's not possible.
That is awful.
Anyway, carry on. What were we talking about? Japan?
Well, are we still moving?
We are.
We were talking about Japan.
I'm now being bombarded with messages from people saying we're live. So
really? That's good.
It's
people
good.
are actually watching us.
My phone's just going to keep buzzing now for the next 10 minutes. Yep, that's 5, 6 people left on. 7 people left on.
Can we find out if our faces are our faces still moving?
Apparently live means that, so yeah, carry on.
Well, it might not. It might just mean they can hear us. No, I'm permanently stuck in that position.
Nobody has mentioned it. I'm fine with you in that position. You're happy and very ginger for some reason.
Well, you know, that's kind of the colour of my face. But I'm literally doing a, hey, what the hell is going on, guys?
So anyway,
Japan. Japan, R31 House, RCC, Tetsujin.
Yeah.
God damn, a bunch of places that are all going to be awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to try and do the live waffle from there.
Yep, it's going to depend on a few things working out technically and things like that. But yeah, we're going to try and do some live broadcasts from some cool places. Hopefully, maybe just 1 or 2. But I think it'd be fun to keep doing it, and hopefully we'll have lots of stuff to talk about.
Maybe we'll do them.
Maybe we'll just be a bit too busy driving and go and see cool stuff.
Nah.
And it'd be like, we got a live thing.
We've got time for the live waffle. I just did that. I do that a lot, don't I?
Okay.
Like I'm weighing things.
Like Tony Blair.
Does Tony Blair do that?
No, he did something else. What was it? He did something.
I don't know. But right now, I feel like, have you seen Talladega Nights?
Yes, sir.
Where he doesn't know what to do with his hands,
yes,
and he keeps bringing them. I feel like I'm doing that. I think I can do the rest of the live waffle with my hands like.
I bet you can't do that for 2 more minutes.
I can't. It's making my hands.
Anyway, we need to talk about more interesting things than your stupid fucking hands.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it? Anyway, that's kind of the end of the subjects.
Yeah,
we had to waffle about, which means
now the problem is I've got about 1 billion messages coming through telling me we're live.
It's Q&A time.
It's Q&A time.
Q&A time, yo.
Got a couple of good questions before. Let's see if we've had some more. First question is from Dennis.
Hi, Dennis.
Who's asked, how much difference does air pump shocks make over shocks that have been standing overnight?
For a shock pump.
Yeah. For me, it's huge. It's even if you leave them overnight,
they can still be airable.
Yeah, there's still a very good chance there will be because there's nothing drawing them out apart from, essentially the bubble trying to rise. But if the bubble doesn't have enough
gravity, technically,
yeah,
because the heavy stuff's trying to go down, which makes the bubble go up.
Yes, but anyway, it's more complex than that. But yeah, so yeah, it's huge. I mean, I literally wouldn't bother putting shocks together if I didn't have a shock pump to hand anymore. It's that kind of deal.
I mean, it's fine.
I'd rather wait.
Have to.
If you absolutely had to, and there's no way you can get the shocks into a shock pump before you have to run the car, then you've got no choice. But if it meant, if I'm building the car tonight that I want to drive at the weekend, I wouldn't bother building the shocks until I got to the track and could borrow somebody else's shock pump if I didn't have one.
Yeah,
or until one could be delivered from a shop, because it's just not worth it. I mean, it's at the point now where shocks is so important that if I drive a customer's car, that you can tell whether they've put the time into using a shock pump and the effort. Like first corner, it's just instant.
Dampers are just massive.
It's just if you've got the option to buy one, buy one. The Tamiya ones are amazing. The ride ones are okay,
and they're both in stock. Ding.
That's always positive.
I don't know if anyone can actually see us doing that.
Right.
Because that's still frozen.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing it's fine since we're still getting stuff in and about 1,000 people telling me.
Next question.
Bob's asked you a question, I'm guessing in Dutch.
Hello, Bob.
Just here.
James Mitto, die kat zit vast. He asked me, he said he's tuned in again from the office. He asked me if the cat is stuck.
Fair enough.
Die kat zit vast met kaas zonder snoer. You lul. That means
I'm just going to pretend. Yeah.
The cat is stuck with cheese, without a moustache. Your dick.
Fair enough.
That's a reasonable answer, isn't it? Oh, youngers. That's the limitations of my Dutch. I used to speak, well, crap Dutch, but more Dutch. I lived in Holland, so you know.
You had to.
That was the first Dutch I learned. The kat zit vast, and it's because I don't know. Is it? I'm not sure how much of the story I can tell. It's
probably not very much.
Broadcast.
Yeah.
But we were under the influence of.
Well, when you say we, I wasn't. I was not
we.
there.
I was me and the other people I was with were under the influence of something that's not illegal in Holland. And literally there was yelping of a cat. And my friend at the time, his girlfriend said, she freaked out and she's like, oh, the cat's fast, the cat's fast. And I was like, oh man, the cat's stuck. And I understood it because obviously the cat was yelping. It was going, meow. So yeah, the cat's fast. That's why I know the cat's fast. The rest of it makes even less sense. But
back to real questions.
Okay.
Rather than Mitto's life stories.
It's just story time.
Akhtar's asked.
Hi, Akhtar.
Hey, buddy. On your carpet, we use MSD hard tyres. What should we use to get a similar same feeling on painted concrete? The closest you're going to get, well, it's not even the closest, but the best option you've got is the HP compound from MSD.
Potentially.
I was going to add.
Potentially.
You have to test them and make sure they work. We've had them. For example, if I put it this way, the guys up at the TRCC club in Middlesbrough, or Teesside, they used to use the HP tyre, and it was amazing, perfect for their track, perfect match. They then moved to a new venue with the same polished concrete, but it's different concrete, different finish, and they ate the HP tyres to pieces, and another compound worked perfect. So you kind of need to get a couple of sets, run them for not just a couple of laps. Make sure they last. Make sure that they're not wearing down too fast.
But at some point, we're going to have to do an in-depth on surface matching.
Yeah, it's understanding tyres and the requirements effectively.
It's more complicated than you think. It's popcorn time.
Yeah, that's we'll get to that in a minute. Alex Barnacles asked, what do you guys personally look for in driving style? Not comp judging, but just yourself enjoy watching.
I like to see, it was the same as real drifting. I like to see a car that looks like it's about to crash, but it doesn't. So like kind of.
Yeah, there is definitely, you can have a car that looks like it's about to crash for the wrong reasons as well. If somebody's all over the place, they look like they're about
I like it where it's sketchy looking.
Yeah, it's
like it's really
pushing hard. It's controlled.
I watched, oddly enough, I was watching a thing with Hibino last night, D1 driver in Japan, and I think he kind of sums it up because his style. They were talking about his style of driving on the video, and they're saying, "Oh, he's not smooth. He's not technically very good, but he's really exciting."
Yeah,
because he's so overly aggressive. You know what I mean? So like the compliment about his driving was that he's aggressive, and that aggression and that it's making it look passionate. That's important. So have a bit of passion. When you throw your car into a corner, throw it into the corner. You know, like if you're going to crash, you're going to crash. Like that's my approach. You do the perfect lap every time. It's kind of monotonous.
Yeah. You have to. I think for me, you have to get the basics down. Then you have to push to keep pushing yourself constantly and try and get closer, try and get faster, try and get I don't know, on the wall for longer, whatever it is. You're just trying to go further and further, and you'll come to a point where you just have to crash because you've gone too far.
It's almost getting away with it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like pushing and seeing how much you can get away with before it goes wrong.
That's why I like watching people like Bond in full size.
He drives like an idiot.
Exactly. But he doesn't crash that often.
But he does break everything.
He does.
He does
but
break
because he's going hard. But anyway.
Bond is the only person I know who's set a diff on fire.
On a public road.
On a public road in a competition car.
Quick
Bonbon. Hi, Bonbon.
Hi, Bonbon. You're probably not watching, but hi, Bonbon. Phil Neal's asked when an MS chassis is going to be back in stock. That should be next week.
Next week?
Hopefully. Maybe start of the following week, but it should be next week. We're getting a pretty big chassis order coming in. But to be perfectly honest, we're expecting them to sell pretty fast. So if you haven't pre-ordered anything, anybody, I'd pre-order it because...
And if you have pre-ordered, it'll be here very soon.
It'll be here as soon as we can, and it'll be shipped out as soon as they arrive. Essentially, yeah.
And if you have pre-ordered, thank you very much.
Bart Stacks has asked a question. He's coming over at the end of the month.
Hi, Bart.
Hi, Bart.
See you soon.
He's asked a question about his DRB front suspension that he's just converted to Type C, version 3, or upgrade pack 3, I guess that is.
Yeah.
He's asking about changing the track width, and his actual question is, I'm trying to cut down a long thing into a shorter question. What's the effect of scrub radius is effectively his question. He's playing with track width, finding some settings favourable. And is it better to have lower scrub radius, or is scrub radius something that is? For me, it's not.
It depends.
To me, if you're chasing the smallest scrub radius possible, you're wasting your time because it might not necessarily work for you.
Well, also specifically for Yokomos, here's one I prepared earlier.
Have you got upgrade pack 3 on? Yeah, you don't have.
I've got upgrade pack 3 on with the oddly enough DRB knuckles, and I am running a 5mm offset. And don't be scared of running a bit of a wide scrub radius on a Yokomo.
No, I mean,
they like it.
Even on any chassis, to be honest, it's a tuning setting. Yeah, you have to play with different.
It's different when it's on the counter, but basically, I mean, this is such a wide, in-depth topic. It's not really something you can just say, oh, well, you need to run this. It's not that simple. But on a Yokomos like a bit of scrub. They like a pretty wide scrub radius.
Hence the reason the Yokomo knuckles are probably the biggest scrub radius you'll ever see on any knuckles. Massive. It's huge. And I've never run Yokomo knuckles on any other
But if you want to add, if I was to put it very simply, adding scrub radius sort of adds to stability and reducing it increases response. Yeah, I guess that's
agree with that.
That's a fairly sort of accurate way to put it. Although if you get too much response, you end up getting a lot of high side with the chassis, where it literally will just drag the nose out of the drift. But in terms of setting up your scrub radius, that is something you need to do by yourself.
And you need to try a few options.
But a narrow track width on the front and a wider one on the rear will make you faster out of corners, as proven by Porsche.
Yeah, and many other people, to be perfectly honest. Right, Andy Brunton's asked, is there going to be a Team UK shell theme this year? Or is it every man for himself? I think it's very difficult to coordinate.
There's a Soul RC team body.
That's kind of for Japan.
But it's for everything. I think definitely.
Yeah.
One thing that we've seen at Euro is every year is it's funny. People from all the other countries get together and make team bodies, and it's cool. It's cool to see. It's like a solidarity thing. Whereas
Toby's watching.
Is he?
Toby's watching.
No way.
Hey Toby.
Hi Toby.
Come and get your vacuomer up and running on the track.
Yeah, make it work. I've completely lost track of what we're saying. Oh yeah, solidarity from all the other guys, and you know, every time I've been to the Euros, every year there's been like the Yokomo guys who painted their bodies. No, even last year they weren't the same, were they?
No, because Tom did his James Dean.
Yeah, but actually a bunch of us going over with the same shells, like that. To me, that shows our solidarity and our ethos to work as a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does.
We do. When we're actually there, we're all sat on the same bench. We're all helping each other. You know, like
it's funny because.
But it's kind of like we need a bunch of red, white, and blue shells. Well, let's not do that.
I'm not running a red, white, and blue shell. I'm sorry.
With bulldogs on them.
Yeah, and
and cups of tea.
Lots of other references.
We could all have
war and stuff.
Like teabag coloured cars.
No, just no. To me, I don't know. The problem I've got is that's all well and good, but I think it's boring when everyone's got the same. That's the problem. Like we need a theme that means everyone's still got their individual cars. So
their individuality.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. At the end of the day, it's not up to me. It's up to everyone else. But
bulldogs.
I don't know. We can work it out. It depends who wants
bulldogs. Are so cool, man.
You need to sit still because you're annoying the crap out of me now. Yeah, it all depends on what other people want to run. We're in a position where it's not our decision. We're a team. We've got to work out who wants to run together and who doesn't. At the end of the day, there's a bunch of people going that don't come to RC. They're probably going to want to run different stuff to the guys that want to run here.
Yeah,
because it's styles. Right.
And that is the end of that one. What's next?
Miles has asked to.
Hi, Miles.
He's coming in next week. He's going to get back into all this stuff after he's now bought his house and got married and stuff.
See you next week after you've got married and bought a house.
He's asked about weights of chassis and how they affect the handling of the car and positioning of additional weights for different handling changes or purposes. So basically,
I'll do the weight and you do the position. Okay. So, in terms of weight, if we're just talking about the weight, whether it's a light chassis or a heavy chassis, it's exactly the same as a full-size car. It's light, it will accelerate fast, assuming you are not creating too much wheel spin, and it will also stop fast, assuming you're not braking too hard and locking up the wheels. If it's heavy, you can be less accurate with the throttle, but it will accelerate slowly because it's got to haul all that weight, and it was also slow down slowly. But again, you don't have to be quite as accurate with your throttle inputs. So that covers.
Well, one of the very important element is traction becomes more important. If you've got a heavy chassis and you haven't increased your traction other than just by adding weight, but in terms of lateral grip, if you go around the corner, it's a fast corner, your car is going to push wide because you haven't got the grip to control it.
Hauling all
in terms of position, depends what you're looking to do. It's quite common to see people running weights on the outer edges of the arms or on the knuckles, or weights on the wheels.
It depends.
MSD have actually just released some new wheel weights that are heavier than the standard ones, which should be coming in next week.
But I was going to say it depends whether it's sprung or unspun weights as well. So whether it's on the chassis deck or it's on the knuckle or the arm.
Yeah, the positions are massively important, but what it does mean is you can have a little bit of weight and have a bigger effect.
Yeah.
And you can actually add that. We've seen it many times. People have far too much weight and completely destroy the way the car handles.
Yeah.
But it'll be fast in a straight line, but that car will be crabbing all over the place, especially on rear-wheel drive.
What I will say is adding weight is generally
a shortcut.
It's covering up a problem rather than solving it. For me.
Yeah. To me, there's some people that will add weight to balance their chassis, but for me, unless it's a huge difference left to right or something like that, I'd rather just corner weight it.
Yeah.
You know.
Deal with it.
So it's quite hard to find the questions now because we've got loads of people telling me we're still live.
We're still live. Are we still live?
I hope we're still live.
Can somebody
just no.
Message Jay?
God damn it. Turn my phone off. Akhtar's also asked, how do you know when you're achieving Korigashi? The way I'd probably put it is that the chassis will become more responsive.
Yeah.
There's like a sweet spot where all of a sudden it's instant response. It's
instant response, but it's also directional. It goes where the wheels are pointing. Like I say, if you go on our blog and look at the bits of wheels that we've coloured in, or look at the Wins Narita videos, you can see their wheel speeds. You want the front wheels rolling. When you've got it right, you'll know it because your wheels won't be flapping around or doing any of that crap. They'll be set.
I think the shortest way to say it is your front wheels will start doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
They'll,
pretty much.
Your car will start following the front wheels properly. What else? He's also asked, in regards to Mizunaga's cheat sheet, if you change or adjust something, do you start from the top or continue from where you left off? You pretty much just continue, unless you do something absolutely huge and drastic.
You can skip around it as you want. The whole reason for the it's not a cheat sheet. There's no cheating involved. It's a 10-step guide to setting up your car at a new circuit.
10-step guide with more than 10 steps on.
Yeah, but it's the 10-step guide, because in Japan everything starts at 0 and goes to 10. But anyway, yeah, it's one of those things where if you feel that steps, 0 to 6 are absolutely fine, then you just try the remaining steps. You only need to tune what you need to tune. But if you randomly skip between tuning different things with no real direction, then you end up making a mess of your chassis. So the whole idea of it is that you follow a system, which means that you get a good result every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Taj has asked a few questions. We'll start with a quick one for you, which is, how's Mitto holding up waiting for his Devar?
I am just don't ask. I'm just emotional about the whole thing. I'm using the DPM. I want to be using the other thing beginning with D. Yeah, man, it's a struggle.
Taj has also asked if the FLD guys have signed in for this competition already. Unfortunately, only 2 of them have currently. We still need to get Steve Carter involved, or it's not going to be much of a
Carter,
FLD.
Sort it out, son.
Right, there's some more stuff coming.
What was the popcorn thing?
That was because of the question we're going to get to in a minute.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it that exciting?
No, not really. It's probably a misplaced use of the popcorn thing, to be honest. But
is it more like a can of worms?
No, it's just a good question.
Okay.
Ben Clinton's tuned in. Hi, Ben.
Hello, Ben.
He's asked when I'm trying the RMX in rear-wheel drive. That's hard.
Ben is literally like he now refutes the existence of 4-wheel drive, doesn't he? He does not
for sure.
He does not accept that 4-wheel drive exists anymore.
To answer your question, it's kind of hard because basically I'm enjoying running 4-wheel drive quite a lot at the moment because of this. So only because it's the team driving thing, and when I'm driving with Mitto and other people who are currently running 4-wheel drive. If there was people up here on the days when I'm around running rear-wheel drive, I'd be on rear-wheel drive.
What I'll say is, I'll answer this question for you. When we're back from Japan, and we've learned all these 4-wheel drive techniques, so then we come back
and go rear-wheel drive
and not use them, because that is what we call Science law.
Taj's other question, which is the popcorn thing, he says there was a heated discussion about this on a Dutch Facebook group. Much popcorn was had by everyone. What makes a good drift motor? It's not about the raw power torque, as it would be in racing. A good drift motor needs finesse. For me.
Well, if we go back to the 10-step guide, which mentioned a minute ago from Akhtar's question, the first point on the 10-step guide is FDR. And what it says is, with your EPA at 100%, you want to be able to pull away with no wheel spin. Mm-hmm. If you've got a clunky, powerful motor, the first thing that happens is you get wheel spin, because it goes ga 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 ga. I'm not making that noise again. I basically sounded like Popeye. Now, if you've got a nice, silky, smooth motor like Accuvance, which is what we use personally by choice, then you greatly reduce the effect of the initial motor cogging as you're pulling away, which is a recognised issue for brushless motors.
Yeah, I mean,
but not for the Accuvance.
No, I mean,
and that's why the Accuvance had a delay. When everyone else went to brushless, Accuvance stayed with brushed and continued to develop their brushless stuff. So it was at the point where,
to be honest, it was actually a great cost to them as well. They ended up losing a significant market share, and they ended up actually falling behind effectively and being considered as slow in terms of the business. It's one of those things for us where we get to drive so many different people's cars, and certain motors and certain brands, which we don't like to say negative things about other products that we don't sell, but there's certain products.
Some of them that suck.
I can tell from watching somebody else drive a car at the far end of the track that they're using a particular brand of motor, because they have certain characteristics that the people who drive them don't know that there's a problem. But as soon as they switch to something else,
they go,
nobody's ever gone back.
But actually, that's the thing with a lot of the RC stuff is because there's so much variety, people have so many opinions on things, but unless you've tried it, you can't really have an opinion on it, which is why we try so much stuff, because otherwise anything we say isn't valid.
There are a couple of things.
If there's any motor companies out there and you think you've got a good product,
we'll try them.
Send them to us. We'll try them. If they are good,
we'll tell them they're good.
We'll tell them they're good, and we'll stock them. Currently, AccuVans is the best, bar none.
And for the money, OMG is the best, bar none.
Well, bar AccuVans.
Yeah, but for the money.
For the money, OMG is brilliant, because the OMG has got that finesse, it's got that smoothness, which is why we use OMG.
Half the price.
And we work quite closely with OMG, so if we've got a problem with a product or we want something developed, it happens, it gets done.
Yeah.
You know, and we can be quite specific about that. So.
And we are.
And we are.
We put a lot of effort in with OMG to make sure that the products are as good as they can be, and they're generally incredibly fast to make changes if they're required. To be honest, it's been a while since any changes have been required, but when it's been needed, it's been pretty much instant.
Indeed.
Which is very good.
More questions?
More questions. I think we've got through most of them, to be perfectly honest.
Even if they're stupid questions, that's just
JR has asked,
Hi, Dick Fisher.
Are the R31 House carpet tyres the same as MST carpet tyres because they look the same?
R31 House carpet tyres?
I didn't know they had carpet tyres.
They don't have carpet tyres.
They have tyres?
They do R31 House tyres, which are for asphalt. I know the answer to that question, but it's not an answer that I can give publicly.
That's not very helpful then.
Well, you can't really, can you?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to this.
What I'll say is,
I've not had those tyres in my hand.
You've pretty much got the answer by yourself without me saying anything. But on asphalt, they're great tyres, and if I were to do something that I would like to be similar, I'd probably go with the GA26 harder. Just saying, you know.
Anyway, next question. That's a bit awkward. I think that's most of the questions from that source. Let's move to one of the others.
We have source.
We have much source.
We have much source.
I think we're pretty much done, to be perfectly honest.
Really?
Which is handy timing because lunch van's just turned up.
Can people hear the lunch van?
Right, yeah, I think we're kind of done. For some reason, this app has decided to be crap. And
are we online? As basically for the second half of the thing, have I just been paused in this position the whole time?
I do hope so.
Do I do that often? God damn.
I'm just going to check one last thing, but I believe we're done. I think next week we should hopefully have some very cool new parts from MST back in stock, as well as probably some other stuff that we're getting hopefully next week anyway in terms of stock, but we'll announce that when it comes in.
Yep.
But yeah, I think we can go and we can call that the end of today.
Cool. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Something like that. Anyway. I don't know. Do you know what's weird?
That's a wrap, and
we may not be able to stop this because it's crashed, so we may just have to keep broadcasting forever.
That is going to be a wrap on the knuckles.
Let's.
But thank you very much for watching and joining us again. I thought you were going to stop that already.
No.
Like and favorite this today. Become a Viking.
Become a Viking. Anyway, see you later. I've just done.
Bye.
Bye.